You're listening to the Startup Soirée Podcast, episode number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Startup Soirée Podcast. This is episode number 1. Normally we would probably do something a little more official to launch this, but in the spirit of Startup Soirée, we're just going to get down to it. Our first guest is going to be Marc DeLeonibus from QuotePie. Marc is a grad of Virginia Tech, the Pamplin College of Business. Before starting QuotePie, he spent about 4.5 years in the commercial insurance industry and doing brokerage, and his experience in that space and what I'm guessing we'll find out is that similar to a lot of entrepreneurs, we study a space and we see a pain that's there and come up with a solution that we think could be effective and helpful and start pushing, and before we know it, we're a few years into a project. So without further ado, Marc, welcome to the Startup Soirée Podcast. Thanks for being our first guest.
Thanks a lot for having me, Patrick. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be a part of this and to tell everyone about QuotePie here.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So, I know that I've got your bio and I just did like a quick kind of push over it, but why don't you, in your own words, if you don't mind, just give us a little bit of kind of when you started your company and your aha moment and what you guys set out to do.
Sure. Yeah, so I founded QuotePie about a year ago, back on December 19th, 2013. And I've really been working on it for about 2 years now. And that light bulb moment really came for me when I was working as an insurance agent or broker. And I would go out every day of the week meeting with tons of different types of clients. And they said to me, you're the third guy to come in here and ask me all these same questions, run through all the same things. Why isn't there an easier way to do this? Why can't there be some centralized place that we can communicate this information to get competitive insurance quotes? And that kind of lit up a light bulb for me. I said, why doesn't this exist? We have all this technology. Why can't we put this online in a place where agents can come access this information and begin to prepare competitive quotes for these types of businesses? So that's what really sparked it for me. Another thing that really tipped it off for me was that I'd see, business owners, they don't understand what's in their insurance policies, and the insurance marketplace changes so quickly year to year. And if they're not having agents compete against each other, they can be paying way more than they need to, or being even worse, being covered completely incorrectly because of those changes in the insurance marketplace. So those two things really made me see the light, and that something like this needed to exist.
That's awesome. That's the best way to find an idea to move forward with is to just pay attention to what's happening around you and the people that you're already kind of involved with, and the ways that you can help accelerate what they're doing and the pains that they're having. So I gather I might know the answer to this question, but for the sake of putting it out there, did you always envision entrepreneurship for yourself?
I've always wanted to be my own boss and kind of control my own destiny. That's always motivated me. By nature, I'm a competitive person by nature. Done triathlons, marathons, and been real successful with that type of stuff. So I think it's always been in my blood. And my father's owned his own companies over the course of the years. So that's it's always been a direction that I've wanted to go in. So I think you always hear stories of people, the kid owned his landscaping company growing up, and then he went on to one thing to the next. And I was never that person growing up, but I think it's always been in my blood one way or another.
So let me ask you, in terms of that, obviously, you just said that your father was, a subtle influencer in doing these kind of things himself. Do you currently have a mentor? And if so, how did you go about finding him or her?
I actually don't at this point. I mean, if I had to pick one out, it would be my father. But as a formal mentor, um, I really don't. I kind of, one thing I like to do, everyone that I meet, whether it be, networking or through different events or just being out and talking to people, I always try and get together with them, at least for a phone call or to sit down for lunch or coffee, just to pick their brain and see, how their experiences can apply to my situation. I really feel like you can learn something from everyone that you come in contact with. And that's kind of been honestly the mentorship for me, to just talk to different business influencers or people that have done different exciting things and use them to kind of, piece together, an education and that.
Yeah, that's an amazing perspective. I think that ultimately that's the real root of the concept behind Startup Soirée. My partner Nick and I have found over the years since we've started Pixelated and some of our other ventures that the most valuable information that we get on a regular basis is when we get to talk to other people who have started things and who are struggling with similar difficulties and similar challenges that come up in front of them. You can read a million books and blogs and try a million things, but nothing's really as valuable as getting a chance to spend 5 minutes with someone else who's in the trenches and comparing notes.
Yeah. I mean, I think, people who are in that same situation, going through those same struggles day in and day out, just talking it out and seeing what they've done is so valuable, because they understand what you're going through, whether it be, customer acquisition or, marketing or a selling strategy. That really, to me, has been the best way to learn quickly.
Sure. So let me ask you: do you have any important daily routines that you go through?
Yes. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is I'm in charge of all of our social media and putting our blogs together. So I make sure all that's deployed first thing in the morning, so it's ready to go. And then I get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn for us, it's really a tremendous tool, because it has our two customers on it. The insurance agents are really super active on it, and business owners. And I make sure to send out messages on LinkedIn every morning, to new prospects through groups that I'm a part of, in order to introduce the QuotePie concept to them. And I just, at least for us, I can't speak to how valuable of a tool LinkedIn has been. It's just really easy to interact with people through those different groups on there. They're already there. And those are the first things that I do in the morning. Beyond that, I try to answer email towards the end of the day, because, if you start doing that in the middle part of your day, you realize you end up getting nothing done. So
Right.
Those are my big things.
It's like the Sunday night workflow to clear out Monday morning for more valuable work than just answering emails.
Right.
So you brought up social and blogging and that's what you still helm. Is that something? Does QuotePie publish new original content daily, a few times a week? And then how do you handle the rollout of promoting that stuff via social media?
So we publish new content. Right now, we're doing twice a week. We vary it between either 2 blog posts or a blog post and a resources piece. The blog post, we normally try and focus on current events that are going on, either in the insurance industry or, that would be interesting to a small business owner. Insurance isn't the sexiest topic, but there is a lot going on right now with, cybercrime happening every day of the week. And, there's a lot to be a lot to be up on.
Yeah.
So we'll do that about twice a week. We'll probably start ramping it up to about three times a week going forward. Um, what was the second part of that question?
Well, and just how when you publish that content, what are the methods that you're using aside from just directly publishing to your blog to drive traffic back to that content?
Sure. So we'll use LinkedIn again. That's really our best. And Twitter. We'll distribute it a few times a week over Twitter just to make sure we're hitting the followers and the audience that we've built up over the course of the week. We'll also put it up on Facebook, but the audience for us on Facebook really hasn't developed to a point yet where we're seeing solid traffic coming through and the conversions. We haven't done any work with PR yet. That's probably something we'll explore in the future here. But I think, generating good content is the thing that's going to build the brand for us and have people trust us and help us get into that next market up from where we are today. And I think, having a good content strategy is really going to be key for us in the future here.
So when you guys are publishing on LinkedIn, this is something that we are very passionate about content creation and maybe even more so about the strategies by which to drive people back to that content. So I'm just curious, are you when you're blogging on the QuotePie blog, are you just doing like a simple share on your LinkedIn, or are you using the long form post and embedding a portion of that post, and then I don't know if you're embedding all of it and saying that it's been published previously, or are you embedding 40% of it and then trying to transition people off of LinkedIn and back to the QuotePie blog to finish the content?
We're basically doing the short form posts right now and trying to transition them to the QuotePie page to finish the content on there. But that being able to publish yourself the whole long form on LinkedIn, I think that's something we really have to look into in the future, because every time someone publishes on there, it shows up for every one of your connections.
Yeah, it's
on there.
It's a pretty incredible. So we've been using the long form publishing, but instead of putting the entire post up, we're putting it up until there's like a good kind of hang point, and then we're putting a CTA in there that is driving people back to the Startup Soirée or back to the Pixelated Photo Booth blog, where they can finish the article, and then ideally we'll be able to convert them onto our list once we get them there.
Huh, that's pretty neat. Are you doing that right from the company page, or are you doing that personally?
From the company the company LinkedIn page.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. There should have been a question mark after that. Is that what you mean? Am I doing it from the personal?
Yeah. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I am. Yes. So we're doing it from our personal page, and then I'll more simply share in links to the business pages where it's posting. I don't long form post inside of the business page only because I worry a little bit about oversaturation, and that the people that are looking at the front end might be looking for something a little bit different than the people who are looking for the back end. Also, I think there's something to be said about the content that we write for Pixelated versus the content that we're writing for Startup Soirée. The soiree content is definitely also a lot about personal branding as well, and us trying to leverage our relationships with other founders that we're linked to. So it's a little bit less about chumming the open waters for people right now, as it is about leveraging the relationships that we've built and letting them know about this community that we're creating. So I think for us, it feels a little more effective to advertise those Startup Soirée long-form posts on our personal LinkedIn pages. The other thing that it does is it helps to identify what each of our specific specialties and traits are within our businesses. So, I'm the marketing and promotion and kind of branding guru for my company. So that tends to be the direction in which a lot of my blog content goes, whereas my partner tends to blog more about kind of fundamentals and nuts and bolts of like the actual structure of business. So in that regard, it kind of helps to support what we're good at, but then it also clarifies who the right person to reach out to would be if you were looking at Startup Soirée or you were looking at Pixelated, and you started looking at that content, you would say, "Oh, I'm a marketer. I need to speak with Patrick," or "Oh, I'm interested in I'm a hotelier and I want to set up a broader rental structure with these guys." Nick would probably appear like the person that would be a better point of contact for you.
Yeah, it kind of lets them get to know you a little bit more personally that way too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, let me move on here. Pretty simple question. What motivates you?
So my motivation really comes from two sides of this thing. I really want to help small business owners understand insurance, and I want to help insurance agents connect with the prospects that they that they need to work with, in a new way. And that's really what motivates me every day. I think this insurance industry has been slow to move, just in all regards, and adapt to technology, and it's so far behind in my mind. It's just ripe for innovation like this. And that's really what excites me every morning. Like, today we're solving this problem. This is a one small step today, but there's a bigger picture out there where I see this thing going, and getting to that big picture. I know that's a bumpy road, and it's a tough hill to climb, but getting to that big picture is what motivates me to solve the problems that we have right now. Um, and that's what really gets me up and going every morning, to be honest with you.
That's
And, at the end of the day, you want to make a couple bucks too, and, have some freedom, but really solving important problems.
that's great. What Mark? What's the size of your team?
So right now, um, we have myself and a salesperson located here in the Annapolis area, and then we have our product and marketing team that's made up of Rory Holland and Jack Macy. They're in San Francisco, and then our developers are in Los Angeles, and there's two of them, Jack and Andy, from a company called Arroyo Labs that we brought on to help with the development.
So, how did you go about crafting your team?
So it's really a really roundabout way. When I was starting this whole thing up, I was searching, doing some research on different ways to acquire customers, because I knew, I have to have a way to get both of these customers. And I came across some articles regarding affiliate marketing, and I started to research some different software and things like that. And I got on the phone and was just chatting with this gentleman at a company called Cake. I forget I don't know if it's Cake Marketing or Cake, some platform. And he introduced me to Rory Holland, who had a lot of experience in the financial services space, working with insurance companies and different companies that connected insurance agents with brokers, and doing some different lead generation things like that. And that's how I met Rory, and we really hit it off and decided that it would be a good way to work together. And then from there, we hooked up with the development team at Arroyo Labs. So it was kind of just through doing some research, and that's really the short of it. I mean, before we ended up with Arroyo Labs, we had to interview some other companies that we were thinking about having help us with it. But just through talking with different people and getting a really good feel for, are they going to be the right fit for us, and really going about it that way.
That's awesome. So here, a little personal question.
Sure.
Do you read every day?
Yeah, I do.
So
Um,
what do you read?
so right now, I just started I started Flash Boys by Michael Lewis. It's about I'm a finance guy. That was my background. It's about high frequency trading. Before that, I just finished up Made to Stick by Chip Heath and Dan Heath, and then I read 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
Oh, right on. How was that?
It was awesome. One of the best books I've ever read.
So my question was going to be, if you had one book that you would suggest to our listeners that you read in 2014, what would it be?
So it's probably a little known book, but it's called Ready, Fire, Aim.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Michael Masterson.
Michael Masterson. Yeah, he actually lives he lives down in Delray Beach, Florida, right up the street from where my brother used to live. But that is an incredible book. I think everyone should read that book. It really gets you fired up to just go out there and do it. Think it through, but go out there and make something happen.
That's awesome. It's exciting when you find these common themes that run between people. I actually haven't read Ready, Fire, Aim, but I read. I think it's like The 5 Secrets to Automatic Wealth or another Michael Masterson book, and it definitely stuck out as a really major, just really, really inspiring.
Yeah, it's incredible. What a good book can do to motivate you.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
I haven't always, I guess I really picked up reading when I was towards my senior year in college. I read a book called it was Confessions of an All-Night Runner by Dean Karnassus, who was a ultra marathon runner, run for hundreds of miles at a time. And when a buddy of mine in college told me, he's like, you need to read this book. This guy's incredible. He ran 50 marathons in 50 states, in 50 days. I was like, that's unbelievable. But, when you read that and you hear about these people's accomplishments, it's like, you know what, I can do this. If this guy can go out and do this, or you read a Michael Masterson book, if he can put this together, I think I'm just as smart or, as this guy, I can make this happen too. So reading is awesome.
It's critical. Yeah. I think about it as probably one of the, I think in a day, the two most important things that I probably do is to read a lot, and then to spend as much time as I can with my team, helping them grow and helping them with any problems that they're coming up against, or any creative thinking that needs to happen, and they could use someone else on that team. I'm always really happy to occupy that space. So I just have a few more left, and then I'll let you go. I know you have a busy morning in front of you. The next question that I have on my list here is how do you manage? I don't know what the season and the temperament is of your business, and whether you have peak periods or slow periods, but if there are slow months, do you have any techniques for managing cash flow? In the space of the first 1 to 3 years, one of the biggest struggles for startups can be figuring out how to manage cash flow and being creative in that space. So just curious if you have anything unique that you've stumbled on to help with that.
We're kind of learning that on the fly. We went through our first holiday season, and you wouldn't expect, in this space that, the holidays would be funky for, a company that's connecting businesses with insurance agents. But we advertise a lot on the web and through Google, and the traffic just got so funny through the holidays that we really, from Thanksgiving to about the first of the year, we're having trouble bringing good businesses in, getting in touch with agents, and it just really threw us off. So we're kind of learning on the fly. But the great thing about advertising online is you have a lot of control over it. You can turn it on and turn it off. You don't want to turn it off completely because, it affects your scores with the search engines. But really having that flexibility to do that, that's how we managed through this holiday season. I think, next year probably need a little bit better plan to keep some more momentum up. But I think we're really fortunate to have that flexibility to be able to adjust our advertising campaigns accordingly. But at the same time, you still have employees that need to be paid, and other projects that you're working on. But we really are still very much learning how to do that at this point.
Right on. Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
So how about you? How about the culture at your business? How important is culture to QuotePie?
Oh, it's huge. One of the things that when I started QuotePie, it was, I told myself, this is your chance you can make this whatever you want. I've worked at a number of different places and saw good cultures, bad cultures. And, it's so important for me, to create a place where people want to wake up and be at every morning. And a lot of that culture centers around having the same competition that QuotePie creates, having that competition within our company for everyone to want to push each other to do better. And I really believe that people are happy at where they work or where they have a career when they have a true sense of accomplishment. I don't think it's the foosball tables and ping pong tables that are in an office. I think it's really feeling that when you go home at the end of the day that you achieved something, you're part of something, and you made this company better. That makes it a great place to work and be at for a really long time. And that's what I try to create every day at QuotePie.
So that's a fascinating answer to that question. I would follow that up with what techniques have you employed to get the most out of your team to instill that sense of healthy competition?
Yeah, so we have a whiteboard up in the office, and essentially, I'm doing the same thing that the sales guys are doing every day. Getting in touch with the agents, the brokers, and we say, these are our goals for the day. Who's going to beat the other person for that day, and who's going to meet the goals, and putting it right in front of everyone, to see what's happening is key, because all of us are really competitive people by nature, and I'm not going to lose to one of the new sales guys, and they don't want to lose to me. So having that aspect of competition at the forefront every day and seeing, what everyone else is doing is really the biggest motivating factor for us.
That's awesome. So do you what tools do you use to stay in touch with your West Coast office? You said you have 2 people in Southern California and 2 people in San Francisco.
Yep. The developers are in LA, and then the product and marketing guys are in San Francisco. We use a variety of tools. We use Basecamp just to keep all of our projects organized and the different pieces that we're working on. For the web development and product development, we use Trello, which is fantastic to organize. If we see any bugs in the application, or we need to put a new piece in, at one point, it really keeps us on task and moving along in that regard. But for communication, Skype is great, but Google Hangouts has been a great tool. And I always thought it's going to be tough working with people so far away, but it couldn't be easier. I mean, we talk sometimes a couple times a day, and the relationship and the interaction that you can build using those tools. It's really pretty seamless. I talked to some of the salespeople working with us. I said, why is everyone located, so far away? It'd be nice to meet these people, but I think, sometimes they don't understand. I'm the one doing the interaction with them, and it really works well. The way we have it set up at this point, and we're not going to rock the boat if it's working at this point.
Sure. So I believe you mentioned earlier that you're an iPhone user.
Yep.
What are the 3 most important apps that you use for your business?
Let me look here, because they're going to be on my main screen. So MailChimp, LinkedIn, and the Meetup app. I love the Meetup app for different events around the area here.
So you do a lot of face-to-face networking?
Yeah. It's just like I said before. It's just that's the way you meet new people, get new ideas, and just really learn a lot.
Yeah, and have fun.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun for us. We've done a few tech breakfasts now. I don't know if you've been to any of those events, but man, we've presented at about 3 or 4 of them now, and you get such good feedback on your product and just what other people think, and you see what other people are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I presented at every tech breakfast that I could drive to from the Baltimore metropolitan area. So I went to Philadelphia, I went down all through Northern Virginia and DC and Frederick and Annapolis and Baltimore, and had a really incredible experience doing it. If anything, it definitely was the catalyst for us to move forward with Startup Soirée, and it was the catalyst for us to kind of start really challenging ourselves with building the next space that Pixelated would move into, and showing us the way forward beyond being just an event photo booth company, and instead kind of starting to be a company that was producing products for that industry. So it's been great. I really, I'm also, I really like Ron Schmelzer from Tech Breakfast as well. I'm looking forward to having him as a guest on the Soiree podcast in the coming weeks. So it's great that you guys were able to find that spot. It's a really, really incredible resource that's out there for everyone that's involved in it.
Yeah, it really is. And like you said, Ron's great. And it's the best part is it doesn't cost you anything to present. Right. You have a good idea and
go for it.
And go for it. Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah. Marc, I appreciate you taking time in your Monday morning to speak with me. It's been a great conversation. Just before we go, let me ask, what is the best place for people that are listening that want to get in touch and learn more about QuotePie? Where's the best spot for them to get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with us by following us on Twitter at QuotePie, or reaching out to us directly over our website, www.quotepie.com. So that's QUOTE pie.com. And follow us on LinkedIn too. There's a link on the QuotePie homepage to our LinkedIn page. Those would be the 3 best ways to get in touch with us. And we have our phone number there too. So if anyone ever wants to talk to me or anyone else on the team, we're very, very accessible. We're not hiding behind a contact form. We want to talk to everyone. So
that's great. Well, I will be sure to I'll link to all of your Twitter and your website and your LinkedIn profile in the show notes for this podcast. But aside from that, I'll look forward to meeting you at this month's first Startup Soirée event. And thank you again for spending the morning with us.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Really enjoyed it.
All right, guys. Well, that about wraps it up for the very first Startup Soirée podcast. I hope you've enjoyed what you've listened to. If you haven't yet, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and head on over to iTunes and leave us a quick review. A little bit goes a long way. Until next week, peace.